Hey, welcome back to the Industry Insight podcast. Today we're going to be talking with Kyle Wakefield, the founder uh, of Lead the Way podcast. So, could you tell us a bit about yourself and what you do?
Yeah, of course. As Arnold just said, my name's Kyle Wakefield. I'm 17. So let's talk about the start first. Up to the age of 7, I lived with my biological mother, who was quite challenging. She had abusive boyfriends. I was 2 years behind education, and I thought I would amount to nothing. So ultimately, I was thinking, I really need to do something to try and put get a bit higher and be able to do something. So I started Lead the Way podcast, and in Lead the Way podcast, mine is quite similar to Arnold's. I interview entrepreneurs who started from rock bottom to success, and obviously try and get the secrets behind the success. And honestly, it's just hard work and dedication. So yeah, that's it really, Arnold.
All right, got you. So, like, what were the first steps that got you even started in the podcast industry?
So when I was in high school, we was in a for some form of assembly type thing, and there was someone called David Heiner who gave a speak, and he was on about words are cheap, actions actually cost something. So I was thinking, okay, I really want to start a podcast, let's do it. So that was step one, but then also making sure that you actually you push your podcast out to the right people. So I push it out on the Help Bank, um, you know, sort of forum and other forums as well to try and push it out there. But also I was fortunate enough to be in the local newspaper and the BBC Hereford and Worcester Radio purely from pushing the name out there, and if it benefits society, it will somehow circle back to you. So I'm currently looking at getting a community grant as well. So there we go.
Okay, so you were mentioning how you got into the BBC. So, could you tell us a bit how you even got there and what it did for you?
Yeah, so honestly, I literally just I reached out to BBC and said, "Look, I'm 17. I've started a podcast. This is the aims, etc." And they were interested and they wanted me to push it further out there. I think what did the radio do for us? It was definitely, obviously, I wouldn't say publicity, but it helped push the name out there, I guess. I don't want to say, I don't want to say publicity, but it certainly did help. And it gave me an opportunity to speak at Ideas Fest, which was explained to be um the Glastonbury Festival for Entrepreneurs. So that's where I made new networks with um, angel investors, and I finally got to see Simon Squibb in real life, which was amazing, Arnold. He like the queues were massive to see him. He's such a highly demanded man, but honestly, he's great. But also, it granted me to register on Company's House and get a business bank account, which is a big advancement for, Arnold. You know that as well. So yeah, honestly, loads of great things happen from it, but also challenges come with it as well.
Got you. Okay. So, since you're at a quite young age, what like setbacks did you have?
Step backs was definitely having GCSEs in the way, was like really, really draining and tiring because not only have you got the pressure of keeping up with the podcast and making sure everything's squeaky clean, you've also got to study. So now I go to college and study business, and the workload from business is relatively demanding. Not as demanding as I was expecting, but relatively. Um, and the podcast, so it's about prioritizing and juggling the right things at the right time. But those are the major step backs, definitely education.
Got you. Okay. You were mentioning that you had a couple problems with the podcast. So, could you talk a bit about that?
Yeah, the problems would be people who may not take you seriously, who may say you're not doing, you're not serving a purpose, you're not making an impact. But if you look at the comments in the description, you'll see you are making an impact. And the fact that people would come up to me at Ideas Fest and say, for such a young person, you've got great passion and great drive. So not listening to some people is definitely useful because people are jealous, people are they're they're annoyed that they don't have what you do have. I'm sure you might have came across that yourself, Arnold. But it's certainly a big thing in business. If people are jealous, they're gonna try and bring you down with them.
Yeah, of course, of course. Completely agree, mate. So, who are like some people that like actually inspire you in business or just in general life?
Okay, so most recently, Stephen Bartlett. Definitely Stephen Bartlett because of, how big his podcast is and all of the people he has on. That's certainly something I'm inspiring. I'm gonna try and do myself. But yeah, definitely everything that comes with it, and also Simon Squibb, because without Simon Squibb, I don't think I would actually have everything that's coming now. And also someone called Robin Waite. He's a business coach. He gave me the microphone that I'm using, the Rode Podcaster, and the webcam. So a shout out to him if he is listening. They are terrific people. As Simon Squibb says, your network is your net worth. It's not what you know, it's who you know. So that's definitely really working.
Of course. You're mentioning that you went to Ideas Fest recently. So, could you tell us a bit like about your experience and even why you went?
Yeah, so why I went, so there's an organization out there called Inspire to Ignite, and they help young people who started from an undeserved sort of background, so trying to give them opportunity. I went there because they said we believe you'd be great to do a pitch at Ideas Fest and just to expand your network. So I went down there and I gave a talk. Everyone was cheering, crying, laughing, the whole sort of thing that you want from an audience. So that's how I know that I delivered a great pitch. Funnily enough, I had like a 3 minute sort of limit, but I only used like a minute and a half because when you're on stage, you're not thinking about the time, you're thinking about getting your words right. So I do wish I spoke more, but there's absolutely more opportunities to do that. So that's definitely the reason why I went is to pitch and further push the name out because any advertisement is advertisement, no matter how large or how small.
Of course, of course. So, what is the purpose of the Lead the Way podcast?
So the purpose of Lead the Way podcast is to help inspire anyone that really wants to achieve a dream that no matter where you start from in life, you can and will achieve. You just have to work. You just have to constantly work for it because nothing comes for free. It's not going to get served up to you on a silver plate. You have to work for it. No matter where you start from in life, deprived, or rich, whatever. So that's definitely the main aim, trying to inspire as many people as possible. No matter your age, you can be any age and be inspired. So definitely that. Yeah, definitely that.
Of course, of course. So, like, what advice would you give to young entrepreneurs, maybe wanting to start their own thing?
So something I always say is make sure you're passionate about it first. If you're not passionate, you won't fight hard enough for it. Um, do not let people bring you down because they will, guaranteed. Some people will try and bring you down, I can guarantee it. You will lose a few friends in your inner circle because they have a different mindset to you. So that's inevitable. Be prepared for that. But like you have to make a few sacrifices to win things. So if you want to do something like make your own podcast, do this or do that, make sure you're passionate.
Okay, so where did you get your passion from?
So definitely my background, so where I started from, it's the passion came from, right, okay, I need to do absolutely everything not to end up being in the same position as what my biological mother was in. That's my passion. My passion is to go far in life and help motivate other people, be a role model for people.
Okay, got you. Fair enough, fair enough. So, What's like the biggest lesson or like piece of advice that has really helped you?
Don't give a damn what other people say. Do not care, because if you do, you will fall. The biggest advice is just keep pushing, no matter how hard it seems. Just keep pushing, because the second you give up, it's over, and there's no nice way to pull it, Arnold. If you give up, that's it. Um, so definitely you have to keep pushing. You don't have a choice. Just think, if you don't keep pushing to do your dreams, who will? No one's gonna fight for you. You have to fight for yourself.
Of course, of course. So, what does leading the way mean to you personally?
Leading the way to success, help, like basically carrying people on your back to show them that there is a clear path ahead of them, to show that it's not all dark clouds and all that kind of thing. There is a way to get there. You just have to keep fighting. So basically, what I'm trying to do is clear the path to success for them, show them that there will be obstacles, but basically giving them as much advice as I can to push through, which is why I have quite high-end profiled individuals on the podcast, because they can give the best advice because they got there themselves. And the best thing is they started from rock bottom as well. That's why I have them on. I don't have people on who you know who were born like into a really wealthy family and they've just got it all there for them. They started from nothing.
Of course, of course. Okay, so how do you find guests for your own podcast and how do you manage who gets on it on an episode and who doesn't?
Okay, so what I do is networking on LinkedIn is definitely really good for me. But basically, what I do, Arnold, is every time I have a guest on, I ask them to suggest it to their network or to upload it to that network, and their network get interested, so forth, so forth. So basically, it's just like a circle of people and more who are interested to come on. And how do I know if someone's suitable to come on or not to come on? I don't like the word picking. That seems quite, yeah, but making sure they're suitable. First, I have like a 20-minute Zoom call just beforehand, so I get the idea of where they started from, what their goals are, and if that lies well with my sort of niche, then they're on. If it doesn't, then very simply, I'm afraid it's not right. But you can't be too picky. However, if they do not fit the niche, then it's unfortunate.
Of course, of course. So, what are your goals for the podcast?
So my goals for the podcast is to what I'm really wanting to do is just to reach, you know, hundreds of thousands of people. Currently, we're getting to around 2 to 6 thousand people at the moment. But I'm trying to get more. Also, a professional podcast studio. I'm in connections with the guys who own it, but they keep ignoring me. As Chris said, there's no nice way to pull it. They're ignoring me. So I'm gonna keep on blabbering them. If not, I'll go somewhere else, find somewhere else. Um, so that's definitely really good because I want a really nice professional background with, the latest sort of technology to make it more decent for the audience. But another goal would be to have Stephen Bartlett on. That'd be incredible to have him on and his time, but also Simon Squibb again. But also I think Peter Jones off Dragon's Den would be cool as well, and Alan Sugar. So I've definitely got a few dream guests that I would have on. But dreams definitely just to constantly push out to more people.
Of course, of course. Okay. So, with sponsorships, how do you deal with that?
Sponsorships, what I do is I will say it. I hate emails. I absolutely despise emails, right? They take ages to get through because you have to email the company itself and then they direct it to the marketing team and they have to direct it onto their managers and blah blah blah. And it takes months, right? Absolute ages. So what I do, Arnold, is I give the company a direct phone call, but I wait on the answering machine until it gets to select so and so for marketing. I speak to the marketing manager or executive, and they normally give you a yes, no on the, on the spot, or an email with like negotiations. So I highly recommend phoning, not emailing, phoning.
Okay. So you mentioned previously that LinkedIn has helped you a lot with networking. So could you tell us about that?
Yeah, definitely. So everything you achieve as a business or a podcast, whatever you have, document it, publish it on LinkedIn, because the right people will see it and they will share it with their network. And I can assure you, people will start connecting with you, be interested in whatever you're doing, and there's always support there, but also on the Helpbank community. There's loads of people on there. Granted, quite a bit of it is scams, but loads of it as well is, people there helping each other. So LinkedIn is a powerful business weapon. It's basically Instagram for entrepreneurs.
Of course, of course. Okay. So is there any final notes that you want to mention?
Um, so nothing really apart from do not let anyone bring you down. That's a big one. And be prepared to make sacrifices. Be prepared to, lose a few friends here and there, because everyone has their own different mindset. Um, so definitely just make sure you're passionate about what you're doing. And if you want to listen, then listen to my podcast. It's very similar to Arnold's. And I'm glad we're doing this episode together.
All right. So where could people find more about you and the podcast?
So people can find more about me and the podcast on Lead the Way Pod on YouTube and Spotify, but also on LinkedIn under Kyle Wakefield. You'll see me there. I've got a professional banner and everything sorted. So it's very easy to find me.
Perfect.